Was there like a cornerstone that happened in like the last 3 months that gave you that mindset shift, or was it just happened one day?
I think just like regular conversations with Mason about, you've lost a whole bunch of weight and it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to take work to do, but it would happen. I think just him saying also that it's going to change. I think at times I'll be like, am I going to feel like this forever? What's the point in looking different if you're not feeling different?
I find with that too, let's say it takes you 12 months to lose whatever weight. Sometimes it takes the mind longer to catch up to that. So you might drop 10 kilos, but you still think you're 10 kilos heavier.
It's easier to lose fat than it is to change someone's mindset on something. Welcome back to the Lionstone podcast, everyone. Today I'm in a different seat and it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but...
Kicked you out.
Yeah, Mason's in my seat now. But we are, again, joined by Mason and we are in the same... clothes? Yeah. We're in the same clothes as last week's episode. Wow, what a surprise. And today we are joined by Mason's lovely client, Nicole.
Hey guys. Hey Rob.
It's all right. It's always you kind of get in and people introduce you and you're like, what do I say? Do I say hello? Do I want to say what? Like, I think, whose was it? I think it was Reese's first episode. She's like, welcome to the podcast, guys. Thanks for having me for the podcast. And she was like super awkward about it. But she's like I had her on last week for like just a quick episode with her and she's a gun at it.
Yeah.
Like, I was very, very surprised. Like you probably haven't met Reese, have you? No, but you've met her. You've met her, yeah?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, you've spoken to her though.
Yeah.
And like, she's a very shy, quiet person, but when you put her in a room with like a microphone and like the right topic to talk about, she just doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah?
I'm like, not shy, but here I'm like...
Yeah. I think that's normal though, being on a podcast.
Yeah.
I was shitting bricks the first one.
Yeah.
So were you.
So was I. It's like way back when we did them in Reese's bedroom or spare bedroom in the office. I was like, I remember the first one we did. He did the intro and he's like, I'm joined by Pat. And then like, you did well. And you said, hey guys, I just sat there in silence and just looked at him. And he's like, we're going to have to start this all over again. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go get a glass and a bottle of whiskey and I'm going to get hammered before the podcast. So I reckon the first maybe like 2 or 3, you can even see the bottle of whiskey in the background and me drinking it. And like, I reckon the first 2 or 3, I needed to drink for them. And now it's obviously a little bit easier because I've done it for however many fucking months now. But you don't drink.
No.
Do you drink?
I do normally, but we've been...
Oh, we've been good, are we?
Been good.
Okay, yeah.
We've been good.
I'm being good too because Mason coaches me now, so I'm being good as well.
So I'm here with 2 more clients.
Yeah, I suppose you are. There you go. There you are. But today we're going to kind of dive deep into Nicole's journey with Mason and like where she started before joining Lionstone. Because how long have you been a client of Mason's now for?
It was a year in January.
Yeah.
Cool. So about like a year and like 2 months or something like that. So about 14 months.
Yeah.
And you were with Lionstone for a little bit longer than that though.
No, I guess it was January and then I think I was with you in May.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Cool. So where did you start? Like, what was your like initial entrance into like the fitness world? What kind of got you into it initially?
Well, I always played sport as a kid. I played multiple sports. And then that kind of got stopped when I had an ACL injury that was not picked up.
What do you mean it wasn't picked up?
I was seen by so many medical professionals and they didn't do the 7 pull. They pull your knee. That test.
They just said it
They just said, look, this looks like a bit of cartilage damage. I reckon I went for 6 x-rays.
Jeez.
All different doctors? Mm-hmm. And none of them were just
2
bothered.
physios.
Right.
And nothing. They were like, oh, you're good to go. I was like...
But your knee was in like excruciating pain, I assume?
Yeah, and you couldn't see my kneecap.
And they were just like, it's nothing major.
You'll be right.
Yeah.
So then
I said you'll be fine.
Pushed through for basically the amount of times they said rice, and I was like, rice is not going to help this. My knee looks at a carpet and breaks down. I'm not joking.
Oh, that's like the sick bay mentality. It's just like a Band-Aid and some ice pack, and I'm like, oh no, just call my mum. I need to go home. And like the slightest thing, I'd just be straight home from school.
100%. Like you're good to go. Just keep doing what you're doing.
It'll fix itself.
Yeah.
It'll be right.
So then I was like, I'm going to do that, and I went back first netball game back. Tore whatever was left.
Wow.
And you like your knee was swollen and you couldn't. It didn't look like a knee, and you still went and played.
Yeah, because I was like, they said I'm good to go.
But you were in excruciating pain the whole time.
Yeah, but I love the sport.
Okay, cool.
She was listening to the professionals.
Yeah, fair. I suppose you got clearance from 7 different doctors.
And it was sort of you said I could play.
Yeah, right.
Now look what's happened.
So what did you do after that? I assume you had to go and get it repaired?
No, it was still not repaired at this point. And then I changed sports, so I played a bit of indoor soccer.
Yeah.
And I tore all the ligaments in my ankle. So then obviously, as 18 to whatever age, you start drinking a lot and you can't eat what you used to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So then I stacked on a whole lot of weight, and then I sort of just wanted to lose it real quick. And I don't know if I can name the gym.
Fuck them.
I think they went into liquidation anyway.
That's fine. Who cares?
It's called Ultimate U.
Yeah. Funny story about that. I could tell you about Ultimate U. The place that we were looking at before this factory was an Ultimate U, and they just put like 50, 60 grand into change rooms and bathrooms. Like, this place is sick. The reason that they ended up, they just opened, then COVID hit and they shut down. But the reason that they didn't stay open was because where they couldn't get the license for a gym, because where they were was inside a refinery zone. And they have, I think it's 200 meters in that zone. The refinery says people can or can't build. So these people pumped all this money into this Ultimate U, and the refinery is like, nah, you can't open a gym here because it's a risk.
Yeah, and I think with refineries, there can only be a certain amount of people in the area at a certain point.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't do research into a lot of things.
No.
But anyway.
Back to Ultimate U.
Back to Ultimate U. It was, you had to lose 9 kilos in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Anyway, I was competitive as fuck. And I lost 14.
Wow.
But it was sort of, you had a specific meal plan you just ate the whole time. But there's no carbs, no fruit. You could only have fruit 3 times a day, but it was a third of an apple and half a kiwi fruit or something in a smoothie. No sauces, just dry chicken.
Mason's sitting there having a meltdown.
And cucumber.
No fruit.
But I'd always had a really toxic relationship with food. It was just, emotional eating. Food seemed like a reward,
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to eat this because I either feel like shit or I'm going to celebrate and eat what I want. So then that just sort of, put a lot more pressure on my relationship with food. And it got to the point where I was dry reaching, eating cucumber and chicken, because I just was I don't want to be skinny.
Right. Is that because you just had such a bad association with the food from doing the challenge, or is it just something
I just looked at all food as being bad.
Right. Okay.
And I don't think I was aware of it until a friend of mine said, this is becoming obsessive. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? I got real I'm trying to win this.
Yeah, right. So this was during the challenge still. This wasn't post-challenge. This is
this was still during it. But I did the challenge 3 times.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because it obviously put a bunch of weight back on.
Oh.
And then again. And then the third time works a charm.
This one's going to work for me.
I'm not going to do what I did last time. I'm going to do the same thing, expect different results. But it was also just I can do it again. And it was just quick. But I was looking at myself and I had no muscles. I still had a little, but I was just gross. And my face was gone and I was like, you a fat bitch. I could not see that I'd lost any weight. But I just had the mentality of being I'm still the fat girl. So then, I was working out, started doing weights in the gym sort of with my friend, and that was all good. But I had no idea on what to do with food. I was still being reluctant with my allergies. I was I'm not allergic to gluten.
I just feel like shit every time I eat it, but I'm not allergic to it.
I was just
worth it.
I was these doctors are wrong.
They must up their knee, so they could have mucked that up as well.
I was they've got no idea what they're talking about. So I just wasn't making any good choices. And then obviously lockdown happened. And mind you, all the classes at Ultimate U were just sort of group classes. And the only positive I will say is it was a welcoming community where people who didn't want to go to the gym you didn't feel like you were the only fat person.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
You know, there was like lots of old people, and probably I liked it because there wasn't too many young people. And they always thought like, "You're here, welcome," and I had old lady friends. Really nice.
Right. So it's like it was more of like a community thing rather than it was
I think
a gym.
Yeah, 100%. And then that sort of just got me more confident in, you know, because they did a lot of weights as well. Just understanding that, because I just knew that if I went to a gym and tried to do stuff, I'd be like, I don't know what I'm meant to do with what, how much to do with what.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, stacked on lots of weight during lockdown. Just got real fat.
Were you still doing like any kind of exercise during lockdown? Did ultimately you have like classes or whatever?
No, so I stopped going because my knee was still fucked.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I got to the point where it was in my last year of uni, and I was at the point where I couldn't really walk. It was just painful all the time. So then obviously couldn't train much.
Yep.
And then I went to see a physio, and he was like, "Has anyone done this?" And he checked my knee. He goes, "You've got nothing there. Nothing at all." Nothing.
Shout out to that physio who figured it out after 7 other people.
Yep. And I'd been seeing a good GP, and I'm still with him, Dr. Richard.
Few and far between.
You're the bomb. And he actually said, "Let's just say this is an acute injury, and you'll get a free MRI. They'll just get it checked."
Right.
And then the results came back, and it was like expected injury this many years ago. This damage, and I got down to bone on bone in the joint.
All right.
So did none of those 7 previously do an MRI?
No.
Okay.
They just looked at it, Mason, like poked it and prodded it and be like,
They just gave me x-rays.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, you're good."
Sure, on x-rays you can see. I'm not a doctor.
X-rays
Don't take
just-
any medical advice from
No,
me.
x-rays are just bone.
Oh, so you can't see like what's been torn up and stuff.
No.
Right. Well, there you go. Learn something about x-rays.
Yeah. Yeah, learn something new every day. Hopefully it just takes you once to learn that.
Yeah. I don't need to go to 7 people to find out. Yeah, right.
So then I got put on wait lists for knee op. And then within a few weeks I had an appointment at a hospital. I was like, I've got to real milk this because I need this done before starting my job next year.
Yeah.
And I need my life back. And I got there, and then they were like, "How have you lived this long with this injury?" Like, "You believe me." And it was less than a month it was fixed, and it was a week after surgery, and I was like, this is the best it's ever felt. So then obviously went into lockdown, got fat as fuck, and I always used to just follow like Lionstone on Instagram, and I was like, Reese, I don't know how many times you can probably find the message to Reese being like, "Train me soon."
We can go look. I'm logged into it. We can go look.
Or just be like the questions. When can you train me?
Just the little hooks.
So did you start initially with Reese, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously you went to Mason after that.
Yep.
Right. Okay, cool. Was that was during lockdown, or was it just after lockdown?
No, it was after lockdown. Well, it was last year. We went.
Yeah.
Did we go on? No, we didn't go on a lockdown
No, we
last year.
just come out of it because we just got this place.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was, I think I just kept making excuses, and, you know, the thought of trying something new that, like, how the hell do they eat that and look like that? And I think I had to just wait till I was ready to make the commitment that it wasn't just going to be a quick fix.
Yep.
But
What was the straw that broke the camel's back with that?
I just couldn't get into any clothes.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to look back and be like, you didn't go to all these things because you couldn't find something to wear. Like, you got to live your life.
So it was more for you than just a number on a scale at that point.
Yeah. No, I hadn't even weighed myself in ages, but I was just everything that I like put on, all clothes. And I was at that awkward size where, like, I was too big for all the shops that, you know, girls go to my age and younger. But I wasn't big enough to be in the old lady shops. So I was in that awkward.
Like the Suzanne Greys and stuff.
Or like all those shops, and I was just, and people wouldn't get it because none of my friends are overweight, or I would explain me like, I can't find anything to wear. And they're like, me too. And I was like, no, nothing fits.
Right.
Like, not that I have options. And I think I'd not gone to a few, social events based on that. And I was just real sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were missing out on stuff because of the way that you felt and like you just couldn't fit into clothes that made you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you were like, Reese, train me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just felt heavy as well.
Yeah.
Just like everything was an effort and yeah.
So did you try anything between the time of, because I think you said that Ultimate You was before lockdown.
Yeah.
Then lockdown. Did you try anything between Ultimate You and Lionstone?
Yeah, I was going to Body Fit for a bit. But nothing to do with Body Fit. It's just I hate group classes. I hate somebody like.
Do you have any friends at Body Fit?
I had a friend at Body Fit.
Are they still there?
I think she goes to a different gym.
Okay, well, fuck Body Fit.
I can't handle someone being like, give me one more. And I'm like, hold up, I need to have a breath. I've just done something. It was just so quick. And if you weren't in the headspace straight away as soon as the class started, like 10 minutes have gone. You've only got another 30 minutes to, make the most of it. And I also don't like, that's not why I'm late today, but I don't like being on other people's clocks.
Right.
Like if I didn't get to the 6:15 class in the morning, that's like gym done for the day, because I couldn't do the afternoon classes. So it's like if I miss that one class, it's not like if I get to the gym 10 minutes later than I thought, it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, they won't let you in, will they?
No, but what's the point?
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 15 minutes late, the class is nearly over.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And then during lockdown, I was having a lot of blood sugar problems, just like hypo episodes where I was just getting real shaky. Then I went to the doctor being like, I need to help me. I'm fat. I don't know what to do. I'm having like some issues here. He's like, oh, you're leaning towards the pre-diabetic stage. No, it was not my normal doctor. It was a different doctor. And she suggested I see, I think they're called an endocrinologist.
Yep.
And this person put me on an 800 calorie diet.
That'll fix your hormones.
Yeah, that'll make everything nice and good.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like my period was like goodbye. Before that, and she was like, "This will help you."
Here's the crazy thing though. How is Ultimate You smarter and giving people higher calorie diets than like a doctor that's got a university degree? How have Ultimate You managed to beat an endocrinologist?
Yeah, and I don't know. And my issue was I wasn't ever hungry. So I was like, I forget to eat unless I have structure. And you're telling me
don't bother.
Don't eat anymore. So that was really fun, and I lost a lot of hair.
Really? So it like proper mucked you up?
Yeah.
Is this just from the endocrinologist's diet of 800 calories, or was it just a combination of everything you think?
I reckon I've just been on such low calories for so long.
How long were you on them for?
Yeah.
Well, before that, I was probably, eating like 1,200.
Right, so you went from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I was like, why is this not working?
So do they like run bloods and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And they were like, this will solve the problem.
Yeah.
They're like, we just need to restart your metabolism.
Oh, yeah, because it stopped.
They're like,
Oh, no.
yeah, that's right. Just hit the reset button.
They went the wrong way. You're supposed to go up, not down.
They're like, we need to put you in survival mode. And I was like, my nervous system is.
Yeah.
We don't need
Survival
to go there already.
Jesus.
It's like we're not losing weight on 1,200. 800 it is. Lock it in.
Oh, like survival mode. Right, okay.
This is like 10 dumb things not to do.
Yeah. This is
And I bet it was
This
about
is the
50
name of
grams
the
of protein.
podcast.
fucking 800 calorie survival mode diet. The Bear Grylls diet.
It's like, you know what I would have been really good at? The show Alone. You know, where they put them in the wilderness and they only eat like a rabbit every 3 days. I would have won.
Yeah. I know, that might have went over your 800 calories a day.
No, that was
Eating
like,
witchetty grubs out of logs.
I would have won. Mm-hmm.
That sounds miserable. I don't think I've ever been anything close to 800 calories a day. And doing that consistently for a period of time, I can only imagine the damage that would have caused. And how long did it take you to start to fix those problems? After, I assume eventually you realize this endocrinologist is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Shout him out if you want.
She's irrelevant. I forgot her name.
We just throw everyone under the bus on this show.
I really don't. I can't remember.
Yeah, right. That's all right. Doesn't matter. It's
traumatic. No. Then I sort of I think I honestly was just looking at stories from Lionstone and was like, this person eats a bit more. So then I was like, I'm going to train my body to eat more. And then I think I just slowly started increasing what I was eating. And I, thought I was tracking what I was eating, but not like olive oil and stuff like that.
But you were still making a conscious effort to do more.
Yeah. And then it got to a point where I'd lost like a bit of weight, probably about 10 kilos, like slowly, but 10 kilos. And then it was just at a standstill.
Yep.
And we'd come out of lockdown and, been doing home workouts at home. Just said, I got to do something. So I know what I'm doing. Like I know what to eat and I just need more information and somebody to be like, you're doing well, sweetie.
Is that what you say?
Apparently.
No, that's what Kim Kardashian's mom said. Kristen did it. She goes, you're doing great, sweetie.
Right. Okay. That's how I want you to start your voice notes for me.
Yeah. I got to give you a bit of a pump up, bro. So before I get you on the 800 calories.
Restart the metabolism.
Yeah.
Mine's slowed down quite a bit. Maybe hit the restart switch.
Mason's voice notes are like, hey, Nicole, hope you're doing well.
Hope you're having a good day. Yeah. Hope your day's been good.
Yeah. Man, I listened to a few voice notes back the other day and everyone was the same start.
Yeah. But they are the same. Reese and I mentioned that the other week. Like I listened to a voice note and he's like, oh, you sent me a voice note this morning and it started the exact same way.
Yeah.
Is that just something that like you're just routine and it's just robot
It's
mode?
routine, man. Yeah. And I actually had a couple of clients say to me, they're like, I actually like it because it's like, even if I'm having a shit day, it's like, hope you're having a good day. Hope your day's going good. And it's like, oh yeah, I'll have a better day. So I just do it all the time now.
Just part of the routine.
Yeah. But now it's probably too much routine.
If everyone knows exactly what you're going to say and how you're going to start it.
Yeah.
Change it up next week.
Sometimes
Hope you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And sometimes on Monday I beat Mason to the point and we're like,
I heard a few clients that'll try and chase me to the beat.
Do you send the Monday message first?
there's been a couple of
Sometimes
times
you'll write the exact message.
I said, just wondering if you need anything from me to start off your week.
Yeah, right. So when you transition from like doing stuff yourself into Lionstone, like how long was that transition from doing things yourself to then like coming out of lockdown and starting with Lionstone? Because you said you saw, I think, how long were you, like, I don't need an exact number, but how long roughly do you think you were following us for prior to starting?
Years.
Oh, years. Oh, because you
Yeah,
know Reese
I went to school with Reese.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Right.
Yeah.
What was he like in school?
We were friends in school at the start of high school. We used to catch the bus together because he lived in Altona Meadows. I lived in Point Cook.
Yep.
Then I lived in Altona Meadows. Reese was a skinny band geek.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
He had this like shaggy blonde long hair and he'd
Yep.
have all of his like MySpace or whatever. He'd have pictures like,
Yeah. Chams, you're going to clip this exact part. I'm going to send you the photos to put it on the screen because I know the exact photos.
Me too.
I know he's like his end of year. It was like some survey that he did, and his favorite part was like some bench under a tree in school where he would sit and play his guitar. That's what it says, word for word. I can almost guarantee it. That's what it is. It's the lamest thing I've ever seen.
I've got no idea. What bench is he talking about? Under a tree?
Yeah, something like that. I'll see if I can find it. But it was something that he liked to used to sit and. Did he take his guitar to school? Because I know he was a band nerd.
Probably.
Yeah.
All I knew was once we got to like high school, I didn't hang out with the band people.
Oh, all right.
You're too cool for them.
Yeah,
No, I just like the sports.
yeah, fair.
Well, Reese's sport, he did swimming.
Swimming, yeah.
He told us a lot that he did swimming.
Oh, he let you know that he was a good swimmer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then everyone would say it's because he had a big feet.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really like swimming because I had frizzy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, well. He told me that he almost made Commonwealth Games or something.
Must be common knowledge.
Yeah. He tells everyone he's got.
Back in my day, back in my glory years.
That's funny that he was so arrogant about his swimming. That's funny. I'm gonna make sure.
I reckon it was year 8. I think we were all arrogant. I was like, I'm a netballer. Or I'm good at athletics. And then you go to a school where people are good at sport and you're like,
maybe I'm not that good.
I think I was big fish, small pond for so long.
Yeah.
You know, my primary school had less than 100 kids, my first primary school.
What primary school did you go to?
Altona Gate Primary School.
Altona Gate.
Represent.
And where?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Doesn't it?
No.
No, right. Because I went to Point Cook Senior.
Oh, I went to Caranballick for a bit.
Oh, so did I. There you go. Look at that. I went
Boardwalk
to
or Jamison?
Jamison Way.
I only went to Jamison in grade 6, so 2006.
Oh, you're way off. Yeah, way off. I was not there in 2006. I was only born in 1998, so I would not have been there in 2006. But yeah.
Child.
Just a young'un.
But yeah, do you remember who the principal was then?
Short lady with short hair.
Yeah, Miss Begg.
Miss Begg.
Sandy Begg.
Sandy Begg. And Mr. and Mrs. Kearney.
Yeah. I don't know about Mrs. Kearney more, but Mr. Kearney was still there.
Mrs. Kearney, she
might have did Boardwalk.
Yeah, she did it for a bit.
Yeah. Mr. Kearney though, he was a fucking cow. Can't stand him.
Didn't they get in
Shout
trouble?
out to Mr. Kearney.
Yeah, I think he got done for fraud.
Yeah. Embezzlement.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a small world. Miss Begg. She was nice. She was always nice. She told me off once for not using the school crossing and walking up the street and crossing the road because it was just closer to my house. And she pulled me out of school one day and took me to the front. She's like, "What did you do wrong the other day?" And I was like, "Nothing." And she's like, "You didn't cross at the crossing." So like I crossed 3-4 minute walk down the road. And apparently there was some kid that would have followed me onto the road. Like that was my fault. And she told me off for that. And I was like, well, sorry, I'll cross at the crossing next time.
Then
Sounds fair to me.
teach independence.
Yeah, like someone else's kid's not my responsibility, yeah? Teach them to cross the road. But yeah, so after that, you moved from Reese to Mason. Mm-hmm. And let's chat about your time with Mason. This is where I'm going to throw some questions at you too.
Go for it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to my podcast.
Do you want to move the mic a little bit closer to your mouth?
Yeah, man.
That's perfect. What was your... So this is something that I like getting people's opinions on because what was your first impression of Mason?
Wow.
This always changes.
Yeah,
That's why
like,
I like it too.
Before you spoke to him, what was your first impression of him? You can be honest. He's not here.
Yeah.
That's a really long time ago. Not that you were scary, but I was like, he's not going to take my shit.
Yeah, well, you probably.
And he literally said that in the first meeting. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to do the work. You're going to do the work.
Yeah, well.
Sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah. Sounds exactly like exactly you would say.
And I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Set the standard straight off the bat.
Yeah. I think you and I fall into the same boat of like less approachable.
Yeah. Until people get to know you.
Yeah. Like we said before, it's like I've had people that are that one of my girlfriends, one of her good work friends, he was drunk one night and he was like, "Pat, when I first met you, I was absolutely terrified of you." And mind you, this guy's like 6'1".
Yeah.
But like he bit of a nerd, but he was like, Pat, I was absolutely terrified of you. And then I got to know you and you're one of the nicest people I've ever met. And like we had the conversation before in the last podcast, like I've never been in a fist fight in my life. Like I'm the biggest coward. I'd run away from a fight before I'd start swinging at people. So like, yeah.
Got that in common with Jocko Willing. Have you heard his talk on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's it. Me and Jocko are
Your boys.
same level. But after you've had your first meeting with Mason and then you kind of got into the swing of things, do you feel like that was like an approach that you needed at that time after like ultimate you kind of pandering?
Yeah, and I just think, understanding that you're not going to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of, and it wasn't just, you're going to do this without an explanation.
Mm.
There was a lot of education with what he told me to do, which I think I need. If someone's going to tell me to do something, I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah, no.
Tell me
Make me
why.
do it.
Yeah, they're good
Give
questions
me
to
the
ask.
evidence.
Yeah, they're good questions to ask. And like, I assume Mason would have probably started you on higher calories than 800, right? Or wait, that you probably with Reese at that point, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I
don't
doubt
know.
Reese would have, knowing
No,
Reese.
no, no.
Would,
I think I started off with, it was like at least 1,800.
yeah. And what was that discrepancy like of trying to go from, was it like, oh, fuck, what's happening here?
Like, that's a lot of carbs.
And because your relationship with food, that had improved by that point, or was it still pretty bad?
No, it wasn't as bad as it was, but I still saw like carbs or
The enemy.
yeah, just sort of these are naughty foods, not just food.
I think that's, yeah, because if you, like, to be fair, most Group X places seem to have this, like, condition it into people that,
Yeah,
no carbs for you. You're just going to sit here and do 400 burpees and eat 2 apples a day, and that's about it.
you can have zucchini pasta.
Oh, yuck.
It's going to be one of the most depressing words, eh? Zucchini pasta.
It's like,
Cauliflower rice.
yeah, I tried that. And like, because Reese had me on really low carbs, I'm like, I'll give this cauliflower rice a go. I got the one from Coles and I took a mouthful of it and I just put the rest of it in the bin. I'd rather just have less rice than have lots of cauliflower rice because that shit's rubbish.
Yeah.
Like most of those diet foods, like I told you I had Halo Top the other week. And to be fair, I tracked it, but I had the whole tub. High day. And I was sitting here like, this doesn't even taste like ice cream at this point. It just tastes like chemicals. But something going on in my brain right now that tells me this is good and I'm going to eat the whole tub. But in retrospect, I would have rather just have like a third of a tub of like actual good ice cream.
Ben Jerry's or something.
Yeah, and not just shit. I don't even know what's in Halo Top.
I think I sent you the ingredient list.
Oh, I didn't read it.
I think I said to you if you read the ingredient, because you said your digestion was fucked.
I fucking ruined it the next day. It was the worst.
I was like, read the ingredient pack. It's about fucking 2 pages long.
It was just like those artificial sugars or, when people are like, make a healthy snack and it's like peanut butter, date rolls and all this stuff. Instead of having a Snickers bar, I'm like, but Snickers bar would have been cheaper.
And would taste better too.
Tasted better. And probably
less fat.
Yeah.
So are you like being with Mason? I know he's very limited on like sugar, alcohols and stuff like that. Are you like on the same thought process or are you like me and just like hammer monsters? No, you're not into.
No, I've never been a super big sugar person.
That's why I get those because there's none in there.
I just love like pasta and cheese.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
I love cheese and pasta.
right. So like the real stuff, but just lots of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I can get in that same boat.
But if like I want to have sweets, I'm gonna have sweets.
Yeah. So you'd rather have less of something good than more of something shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I maybe should start adopting that mindset as opposed to just like seeing how much food I can cram in my mouth of the low calorie stuff, like popcorn.
Yeah.
Have you had the Cobb's popcorn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff is
pretty
great.
good.
Yeah. I found
You're a popcorn connoisseur as well, aren't you?
Everything connoisseur. Yeah, I am a popcorn connoisseur now that you mention it. Because I cooked it. Yeah. All right. Have you heard that story? So before, like I've only had this job. Like I've only been a PT since I was 18. But prior to that, my like real job, first job, I cooked popcorn at a market. Yeah. All fucking laugh at it.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just waiting.
So I cooked popcorn. I reckon it was for like 6 months, and I worked for this husband and girlfriend, and he was probably one of the most horrible people I've ever met. Just like extremely racist, and it was in Laverton, right? So it's very like
at Laverton Market.
Yes. Yeah. It was very culturally diverse, and he often had things to say about people that weren't of a lighter skin tone. So I was like, oh, good. Okay, I'm just going to put my headphones in and go back to cooking the popcorn, man. And the worst thing is that his girlfriend of like 10 years, he paid her the same amount as he paid me, which was like $75 for the weekend. And he just kept the rest of it. He was like a real piece of shit. I don't know if they're still there.
Do you want to name him?
Yeah, his name's Carl. Carl with a K. His girlfriend was very, very nice. Irene. She was super, super nice. She always said like hello, and he was always just like, "Oh, it's Sunday, Pat. Stop making these. I know you're only 17, but here's a 4X gold, and we're going to sit and drink these at the Laverton Market."
Oh my god.
To be fair, he gave me my first job that I found on Gumtree, so I can't complain that much. But ever since then, I'm a real snob for popcorn because I'm
So what's your top 5 popcorn then?
all the ones I made. because I was fucking good at it.
My favorite part of that story was she was real nice. She always said hello. Is that your level of nice? So if people say hello,
Yeah, have you been to Latimer, right?
It's about as nice
Once.
as it gets.
Yeah, once. There you go. That's all the time you need to know that it's like not the nicest place to be. Like the old guy that runs it, he would get he would sit at the gate and just watch the girls that were working for him like collect the money, and you could almost see him like rubbing his hands every day when people would come in, because like 500 people would come through over the course of a weekend, and they were paid like $2 coins plus all the rent he was getting from the vendors. So this guy was raking it in. But yeah, it was a shithole. Like people would be selling like one shoe that they found in the back of their garage that was like 6 years old for like $5 or something like that. Just real fucking depressing to be in. But they used to sell knives there too, by the way. There was a guy that used to have
BB guns.
No. Like big things that you see on the news that like gangs have stabbed each other with kind of knives. Like he would sell t-shirts, but if you go out the back, there would be a suitcase, and you would just like, oh, what knife do you want to buy today?
What crime do you want to?
Yeah. What
home?
crime do you want to commit here? But I would cook the popcorn and then serve it up, and ever since then, like I found that Cobb's, and there's one that they sell at Woolworths. It's like the actual one you have to put in the microwave and pop.
Oh yeah.
But you get like the extra butter version is good, not macro friendly at all. But the light one,
Not bad.
yeah, you can fit a whole bag of that.
What about just making some at home yourself?
How do you do that?
You get a pot.
Mhm.
You put like a tiny bit of olive oil.
Oil.
Butter. You can do it with butter too.
Yeah, but it's still got fat in it.
You don't have to do it at all.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, I never knew that about. Hey, I'm learning things about popcorn.
Then
I'm getting
you
back in the
just-
game.
You put enough so it's just like one layer of
Yeah.
kernels on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you just put the lid on, and once it finishes popping, it's done.
Oh, see, we never did that. We would get a big, like, 1 liter cup of oil, pour it in this huge wok thing, then just get it was he didn't get. I don't know if it was human grade popcorn. It was chicken feed that he was putting in. By the way, like I don't know. Like, hopefully you never ate it. It tasted fucking great, but he would put chicken feed in. I'm pretty sure he got it from like a pet supply shop, but it was like cup of that in there too. Pop all that up, and then like mix in whatever like sugars, and the best one was the cinnamon one.
Yeah, I remember I listened to your podcast where you were talking about that.
That's the best stuff ever.
Kmart also has popcorn maker.
Right, well, I know where I'm going after this. Just more shit to put on the bench.
Yeah.
Get yourself a rice cooker too. Do you have a rice cooker?
Yeah, real old one. But I just get the packet rice, like the microwave rice.
Expensive.
It's like $1.25. And I only eat it's like $7 a week for rice.
It'll be less soon.
Yeah, I know. I get one little bit of rice, so that one packet will last me 6 weeks. But going back to on topic of not popcorn related stuff, I could talk about that for hours. But in terms of like, what was because you dropped an absolute stack of weight, right? What was the number, the actual number?
Like in total or with Mason?
In total and then with Mason.
Quick math. I think it's like 35 and a half kilos.
In how long?
October 2020.
Fuck, that's really good.
But it's been making me do maths.
Doesn't need to be exact. Because you've been with Mason about a year, give or take?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
I think at the start of January last year, I was like 78.5. 62.5 now.
Wow. So you've lost an absolute stack, but at the same time, not fearing food.
No, I've never dieted.
That's right.
It's a lifestyle.
She's listening to me too much.
There you go.
No, but that's the thing is like I kept saying to people, and people are like, oh, just eat this and you'll lose the weight quickly. And I was like, I've done that 3 times.
Everyone who says that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
You can eat whatever the fuck you want and lose weight.
Yeah. It's all the people that like armchair PTs that give advice, but 9 times out of 10 never lose weight.
Well, they don't take their own advice.
Or they don't take their own advice. Yeah, that too.
Like, I don't want to eat chicken and rice, just plain chicken and rice. I make a good chicken and rice, but it's like got feta.
Yeah, so you're real creative with your food now.
Very.
No, I've always loved to cook.
Right. But just previously it was like you was scared of what you were.
Yeah. Or I'd be like, this is healthy. And I'd be having like chicken schnitzels. But I was cooking it in like shallow fries. So it's a bit of oil.
Nice.
Now the oven just does it. Nice, juicy. Don't have to watch it.
Do you have an air fryer?
I do, but I prefer it in the oven. It's juicier, and you can cook like, I don't know,
Like more of it. Yeah. I was the same. I bought one of the air fryers that like has like the thing that you instead of slide out the what's it called, the basket. That's what it's called. I got one that was like an oven. That's what it was. But I thought I could it would heat the whole thing up, but it does like 3 different things. But it only heats the middle layer when you air fry.
Oh.
So numerous times I've put a bunch of chicken in. The middle part is cooked, but the other 2 are just fucking raw and miserable. And then I was like, I'll just do it in my oven. And I reckon I've lived in this house for 2 years, and the oven worked. And then one day, the oven didn't work, and I reckon I haven't got the oven hasn't been fixed in about 6 months. And I need to go tell the realtor, but there's nowhere on the oven that can say like, oh, this has been broken for 6 months. I hope. I don't know much about ovens, but
No.
Nah, cool. Well, then I can just tell them this broke last week.
Is it not turning on at all?
Yeah.
Unless I listen to the podcast.
Have you looked? Do you have drawers near your oven or a cupboard?
Yeah.
Something might have flicked the switch at the back. Have you looked?
No.
Yeah.
No.
There's like it's connected to
I assume it's
PowerPoint.
connected to something. It's
a
not.
PowerPoint, and a lot of the time, like one that happened to us once, and we opened the drawer and something had hit the PowerPoint. So the oven,
If it's that, I'm gonna be so upset because I've been out like trying to flick the switches on the board, and I was just like, I've just given up cooking at the oven for the last like 4 or 5 months maybe. But if it's that simple, I'm gonna go home tonight and have a look, and I'll update you whether I turn into a qualified electrician.
Yeah.
Overnight.
We don't
otherwise,
hear from Pat it went wrong.
The house is on fire and I'm gone. All right, but so with Mason, you dropped like, what did you say, 78 to 62?
Yeah, about 16.
16, cool. I'm glad you can do math. Thank you. I was sitting there trying to run the numbers in my head. But
quick math.
in that time, like you've actually enjoyed the food that you're eating. You feel like you've learned a bunch more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now do you feel like that your relationship with food is back to where it was? Was it?
No, it's never been good.
It's never been good. Okay.
No.
And now it's at a point where it's, I hope, good.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, okay.
I was like a binge eater as a kid, and
Oh, so it stemmed right back.
yeah, I would binge eat, and I'd have to have that fizzy stuff, and I'd throw up all the time. Probably also allergies, but I could never register I was full, and I was like, what if I need to eat all the food? What if I'm not having like this later?
Yeah, right. Okay, so it was like I don't know how much about the psychology of binge eating, but was it like a scarcity thing? Of like,
Yep.
Yeah, okay, right. I might not get this later, so I'm going to eat all of it now.
Yep.
Right. Okay, no, that makes sense. And then, like you said there, gluten.
Yeah.
Not a fan, but it's not a fan of you.
No, yeah, now I'm like celiac.
Yeah, my girlfriend's got celiac too, so I can empathize with you. I assume you avoid gluten like the plague, but
No, it makes me really unwell. I actually get symptoms. You know, some people just have it and they have no symptoms. If I eat it, just even like traces.
Yeah.
I have like a pregnant belly, and then I'll projectile
Yeah, she's the same. So like
everywhere.
Yeah, it's no good. Were you like so I assume you used to eat gluten a lot and just like deal with the consequences?
Up until year 11, I would eat gluten, and then year 11, I think, or 12, and then I couldn't keep anything down.
Right.
And then we were trying to figure out what it was, and then that was the only thing that was sort of fitting the thing.
Yeah.
And then I probably was gluten-free for the next 2 years, but no one was gluten-free. It wasn't cool to be gluten-free. There was nothing in Coles, Woolworths.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have anything. You couldn't go out for dinner unless you had like grilled calamari, nothing on it. You know, you're in high school and you go to sleep at someone's house and you're like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. No one knew anything about it.
Yeah. Anti-nausea tablets and just go for it.
I'll be itchy and it'll be okay.
Pre-planned for it.
That's what we had to do in Thailand with Brie, is like take anti-nausea tablets everywhere just in case something had gluten in it.
Yeah.
And turns out most of the stuff had gluten in it.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't read the packets. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, and then then I was like trying to eat it because I was like, I want to be normal too. And I just didn't want to be a burden, you know. People would be like, oh, can you eat here? And I'm like, no. So it's just sort of easier to cop it on the chin.
Yeah.
Which just makes me think, like, rather than telling people I can't eat places, it was like, I'm just going to damage my stomach.
Yeah. And then like, I assume now that like, were you apprehensive about avoiding gluten, or was it something that you needed more education around before you were like, okay, I'm not touching this stuff ever again?
I think it was just sort of, I didn't, when I got to the point where I was like, this is not worth me feeling so shit. And it was originally would just be like, it'd be sick instantly and then it would be done and dusted.
Yeah.
It'd be all good. But then I was just getting a lot of eczema. And just other symptoms that would last like 2 to 3 weeks. And I was like, this makes me feel like shit.
Yeah.
Why am I doing it? So then I just sort of found, substitutes for things that I did like. But my downfall was definitely during the time when I wasn't focusing on, eating well. Takeaway. I think just come into terms with, I can't eat takeaway food. And eventually got to the point where I was like, I don't feel good eating it regardless of the gluten. It costs a lot of money. Yeah. And I actually cook nicer food.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We've found a few decent gluten-free places because I assume you're local.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say. Because everyone knows where I live, but I don't want to throw you under the bus and give out your suburb, but that's fine. Now, a question for you is, in your initial phases, like working together, I suppose you both can chime in on this, were there any like complications that you ran into that's like very, very early on that you had to overcome?
Probably the only one that I can really think of, like education, you're pretty on top of, like you had a really good understanding. I'd probably say self-belief. Would you agree with that?
Bingo.
Cool. Let's dive into that a little bit. What was? We'll talk about why you feel like you had the lack of self-belief, and then we'll talk about how you started to resolve it. So where did that initially stem from?
Birth.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a psychology session right now. No.
Sometimes it does feel like that. Sorry.
I don't know. I just don't have. I didn't have a very good positive, outlook on myself. I think I'm probably my harshest critic, and people would be like, you're so good at this and you're like great friend and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're lying. So I think I had, just a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that just in like the fitness aspect or just in general?
No, in everything.
Okay.
In everything.
And that happened to like just spill over into like fitness and stuff like that. And
Pardon?
And that just happened to spill over into fitness and stuff, or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you overall don't have, positive beliefs in yourself, anything you do, you're not going to really think you're doing well or that.
But even though you were seeing progress, you kept saying to yourself, like, I'm not doing very well today. Yeah,
I think I just like, I could do better. And it wasn't necessarily the weight. I think I could see I was losing weight, but I was not feeling that I was losing weight. And I just think it was a few times I'd said, I still, like when I took a photo or a video, I'd be like, oh, that's a good angle because do I look like that? And then my partner will, I'd be like, is this what I look like? And don't say it because you love me. Like what I look like in this video or photo, do I actually look like? He goes, yeah, Toots, that's what you look like. And I was like, are you lying? So I think that was I was still seeing myself as not 98 kilos, but I couldn't see that I'd lost weight. So Mason got me, saying positive things about myself.
I remember the first time you tried it.
How did that go?
I was crying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't like anything about myself.
So did you struggle to find positive things to say about yourself?
Yeah. And Mason's like, it doesn't have to be physical. And like my partner Will's very supportive and he was saying, what about this? And I was like, because you're really nice. And I was like, I'm only nice because I want people to think I'm nice, but I'm not actually nice.
Right. And how long did it, like, I assume you did that for a while?
Yeah. We tried doing that for a bit and then I don't know how long it was. And then myself and Will were just talking one night and we just debriefing and I was like, I really like how I did this today. And I was like,
oh, I've just done it.
I have to tell Mason.
I remember getting that message as well. And you're like, listen to this.
Listen to this. And it was like a big long and say, so moral of the story, I've said this. Point of the story, sorry. But then it was still sort of, I don't think it was until summer holidays then I was starting to, so I had a girl's Christmas and I was wearing a dress and I was like, oh, like, you know, I like the photo, but I'm not feeling that I look like that. And a friend, I was being silly in her shoes and a friend took a video and I think I watched the video, I don't know how many times, like 10 times. Been like, that's like how I look. I was like, but I don't feel like I look like that.
Okay.
So then I say psychologist and she just said, when you're not feeling that you look the way that you feel,
Yep.
video yourself. She goes, because if you can see it in videos, she goes, maybe we just need, I don't have a long mirror or anything at home. In the mirror, I was like, yeah, look good, look dead. Whoa. So she just said, just start filming yourself in when you're starting to feel like you don't look the way you do, film yourself. So I was sort of doing that. I don't know. I probably, some days, I mean, everyone has off days. Yeah. But I definitely feel probably my size.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It took a period of time. Was there like a period of where you like when you were doing was it like positive affirmation stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a time that like you didn't initially believe it? You were just saying stuff, or did you have to?
I don't think I would have said anything that I didn't believe. I think I was just like, I'm not going to just say, oh, I like my arms without doing it because
defeats the purpose.
Yeah. So I think I just started with things that probably happened in my day to be like, I like how I handled this or I like this. They were just easier to identify. I think I just had a lot of work to do on myself, which was probably just, I knew I had like bad relationships with body image forever. But I think I didn't want to get, to a position where physically I was smaller, but mentally I was so much further behind.
Yeah, I get you. And was that something that like, is it something you still do now? Or just like kind of subconsciously do it now?
A little more subconsciously. Yeah. Damn, your guns look good today.
So now
I'm like, I got a pump.
You now find it way easier to find like more positive things about yourself.
Yes, definitely.
And do you think that's like obviously attributed to some of the weight loss, but is that like because you've had like some kind of like mental perspective shift on yourself as well?
Oh yeah, more mental than physical.
Yeah, okay.
More mental than physical because I'd been smaller in the past, but my mind needed some adjusting.
Yeah.
Probably the mental shift in the last 3 months, I'd probably say.
Okay. What about the last 3 months or so?
Yeah, the last 3 months has just been a big change, I think. I think I have a lot more confidence in myself and sort of not say like, go you've done such a good job and not just sitting in the winds, but also being able to reflect and be like, like not everybody can do this. So like, you should be proud of what you've done. And then I'm still like, yeah, but still.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't think that's always a bad thing though either. Like you want to be proud of where you're at, but you also want to keep working towards another goal. So,
but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's was there like something like a cornerstone that happened in like the last 3 months that gave you that mindset shift, or was it just happened one day?
I think just like regular conversations with Mason about, I'm still feeling a bit like this, and him reassuring, you've lost a whole bunch of weight and it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to take work to do. But it would happen. I think just him saying also that it's going to change. Yeah. I think at times I'll be like, am I going to feel like this forever? What's the point in looking different if you're not feeling different?
I find with that too, like you can lose weight fairly, let's say it takes you 12 months to lose whatever weight. Sometimes it takes the mind longer to catch up to that. So you might drop 10 kilos, but you still think you're 10 kilos heavier.
It's easier to lose fat than it is to change someone's mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like buying like size 12 clothes online and I was like, they've really started to make these clothes really big. Yeah. I was like, why didn't they make these clothes big when I was big? And then people were like, you're not size 12 though. I'm like, I am. And then all of a sudden I was like, just started changing clothes and I was going shopping because I had no clothes, but I wasn't having to get the larger size and sometimes not even like, It wasn't even in some things I'd get size 8, and I was like, okay, this is different. But I think I just had to be more aware of it's not just going to happen without work.
Yeah.
You have to invest time in being nice to yourself.
Do you feel like you worked harder in these last 14 months as opposed to you did during, like, it's obviously things you've done here are far more sustainable and long term, and it's been like a slower approach, but do you feel like the work you've done here is harder and more effort and more dedication than to what you did with those 3 back-to-back challenges?
I don't think it's harder. I think it's a lot easier because you're not restricting yourself.
Yeah.
You're not starving yourself. You're not saying you have to miss out on all this stuff for a really long time. I think people, are hesitant towards doing this approach because they want quick results. So I think I knew I had to be patient with the results. Yep. But I didn't care how long it took, as long as I didn't feel like I was starving myself, because I knew it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And I often get asked by people saying, "Oh, how can you eat this?" Like, it's a good feeling when someone asks you, like, "Oh, how can you fit this into your food?" Or, "How are you eating this and still losing weight?" Yeah. "Oh, I can't eat that many carbs." I'm like, can. Come to the dark side.
All right. Well, I think like what I want to ask, this is probably a question to both of you because I don't know if you've had this discussion yet, but what's like the next like 6 months to a year for you? Like, you guys, this is a conversation for coach and client.
No, get some gains.
Yeah. So that's actually a big testament to how much her mindset has changed. So we've been in a cut for the whole time pretty much. Obviously refeeds added in and whatnot, but now we're actually finally going into a build. When do we start? Last week, the week before? The week before.
I think the week before.
Yeah. So first time we've started increasing calories strategically and now starting to build muscle. So exciting times ahead.
And how did you like come up with that idea, or was it a Mason idea?
It was Mason initially. And I just said, I've only just started feeling lean. Like, give me a little bit. Yeah. Like, give me a month. I know it's not going to be dramatic, but I think I just needed a little bit of time, and then I was like, all right, let's eat some more food.
Yeah. I think you actually asked me, you're like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, I've stayed here for long enough. What's next?
Yeah, right. And how did, because this is your first week, or you start next week?
Last week.
Last week is your first week.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that adjustment like going on the higher food?
Hard, because I take medication that sort of sometimes suppresses appetite. And it can, like, I have to fit more food in.
Yeah.
So I think the first week I was like, I'm too full. However, was it 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, it might have been 2 weeks. Yeah, because we're just pushing them up again next week.
I think the first week was fine. The second week, I was like,
Yeah, and this will be the third week, and then we're going up higher a little bit next week.
Because I think we went a little bit up, And this week I'm like, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Sometimes you see higher food and you're like, oh, more food, and then you have to eat it and you're like, oh, this is actually a lot of food. Like when you put me on my first 2 weeks of high calories, like it was like 500 grams of carbs or something like that. I think it might have even got a little bit higher than that. I don't remember.
I think that was the first week, then I pushed it up the second one.
I would die.
Oh, I was like, I'm an eater. I can eat. And I was sitting there, like I was talking to Reese and I was like, this is a fucking chore. And like I've never had food high enough to a point to where it's been like a chore like that. But end of these 11 weeks and then it's back to chore time.
Yeah.
Because eating less is surprisingly, while it may seem harder acutely,
way easier. I like being in a cut. I hate being in a build. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, especially if you're like, it's the end of the day and you've got like, oh, I've got to eat another 100 grams of protein and 300 grams of carbs. Fuck my life.
Yeah.
And then it's like Gatorade and protein shakes.
Yeah.
I think 1 week you just had me on a high week and I was like, we're making up the carbs with orange juice at this point. We ain't eating actual food.
Yeah, I think I had your calories pretty high that week though.
Yeah,
they were pretty high.
So next for you is a build. And how long do you plan on staying in that for?
I don't know, whatever it takes.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty slow build, so just taper it up very, very slowly. Just aim to gain lean muscle.
Yep.
Minimal to none body fat.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll just be a bit of a longer process, but I work with all my clients, like we set goals, but as you'll know, it always changes. So like, for example, we might do X amount of time in a build and they're like feeling a little bit fluffy, do a 1 week mini cut, and they're usually like, oh, I feel fucking great. Let's go back into a build. Yeah. It's usually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, goal is to not get clients fat.
That's what we're good at, not getting them fat. All right, terrific, guys. Is there anything else that you want to touch on in particular, Mason?
Not too much. I probably just want to ask, like, what do you think was the biggest change in regards to your mindset? Like, I know you kind of went over it a little bit, but you said 3 months ago there was kind of that switch that flicked. What do you think was that switch? Because I've seen it myself. Like, you killed it the whole time, but the last 3 months has just been absolutely ridiculous.
On the spot. The exact minute. No.
Yeah.
I don't know when.
Because I've noticed the shift. It was almost like just a click of the fingers. I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
No, it was just like one day. I honestly don't know.
I might have sent her an Andy Frisella podcast.
I really don't know. It was just like one day. I don't know. I feel like I remember when I went to Newcastle on the holiday. I think it was like the second day we were at the beach and I was like, ugh. And then the third day I was like, I look good. So I don't know what happened. It just sort of changed and then I was just like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I think I just stopped giving a fuck about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
I think also
usually a good thing to do.
Yeah. I think also the self-belief thing as well. Like, once you kind of are aware of what you've accomplished, you're like, fuck, I can accomplish so much more. And then it just helps you push more and more. And that's where you just need that little win. And then it propels you to the next win, to the next win. And then once you see all of those wins stack up, you're like, fucking smash it. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. All right. Well, I think that's where we'll wrap it up. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come chat to two tattoo guys in a studio. Hopefully people took value from this and hopefully you enjoyed it. Was it as hard as you thought it would be? Because I know when, like, I don't know if we spoke about it on air, but you were pretty nervous in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I just say like a lot.
Yeah. you like doing this over and over again?
This will be, a drinking game where it's like every time Nicole says like, drink.
They'd make it about 8 minutes in.
And then you just pass out on the floor.
I had a stutter when I was younger, really young, I think. I used to get stuck in my words and now we say like instead.
Yeah. Fill the gap in.
It's like when Reese says right. Have you noticed that?
I have not.
Now you'll notice it every time he says it. Listen to any podcast he does, he'll like say a sentence and he'll finish it with like right. And that's the drinking.
So sales coming in.
Yeah. Or the word back end.
Back end.
Yeah. I've noticed that. Listen to that, and you not in that context, mate.
I wasn't even thinking that. I'm just like, why would you say back end? In what context?
Back end systems, back end this, back end that. Listen to it, and you'll hear it in every second sentence.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
I hear him say systems a lot.
Yeah, it's like a tick.
Yeah.
There's not many jobs you can go and bag out your boss.
No.
But always this podcast, so you would bag him out every week.
You probably don't listen to him anyway.
No, he does.
Oh,
he does.
Yeah,
He does. He always just like, why did you fucking say that? Like, because it was funny.
Yeah.
And usually it is.
And now you got to find that photo of him with the guitar.
I think I've got one for like the last like week and a half. I reckon I just changed it to a photo of my dog. But before that, it was a photo of Reese
as your wallpaper.
Yeah. It was this photo.
Oh my gosh.
It was that photo, but yeah, there's not many.
No wonder Bree's like, what's going on up there at the Lionstone gym?
Yeah, like her phone background was a photo of me for a while, and then she looked at my phone one day and it was a photo of Reese, and she was like, "What the fuck is going on between you two?"
Romance.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what it is. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Nicole.
It was a very inspiring is probably the right word. Like, I think you, with a lot of clients, like they all struggle with very, very similar things. And we talk about a lot of mindset stuff on this show. And I think that like hearing it from a client that's done it, like you and I can sit and talk all day about it. But at the end of the day, it's like, we're just two people, but you're someone that's been through it and been through this, like the process with Mason. So I think hearing it from you, I think means a hell of a lot more. So thank you for taking the time.
One thing me and you were talking about the other day, just on the previous podcast in regards to like saying how our clients inspire us. Cause we look at like, we've got it a little bit easy now. Like we work online, we can't train anytime. You guys actually have a full-time job you got to manage.
Real jobs.
Like, like you guys, so what you guys actually do is insane. So we're super proud of all of you.
Thank you. And I think that's such a big thing is with, a lot of Instagram coaches, like just make the time. I've gotten through 2 sessions today.
That's because you don't fucking do anything, mate.
But you don't go to a job for 9 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're right. All right, we'll wrap it up here. So if you took any kind of value from the show, please make sure you watch the show, right? Or listen.
Yeah.
Do you, yeah?
I was like, what?
I was about to make you do the outro, but that's fine.
No, I don't have time to do anything right now, okay?
Right, okay. Just make the time, okay? All right.
Mason makes me try.
We listen to podcasts.
Right, if you guys took any value from it, feel free to share it with someone that, like a friend, your mum, I don't know, who cares. Make sure you click subscribe, like, and then rate us 5 stars on Spotify. And as you heard in the last episode, I don't even know if this is on Apple Music. Do you use Apple Music or Spotify?
Apple Music.
Oh.
Don't listen to the last one. We just bagged out everyone who uses Apple Music. Why don't you use Spotify?
I don't know. It's because I got like...
You got it with your phone plan. You got 3 months free. Did you not?
It was when I was in uni.
Yeah,
you got
see.
it half price. And somehow, because I'm using my uni email, it's been like 4 years and I'm still getting
So we must be on Apple Music if you've listened to the show, right?
No, I also have Spotify too.
Oh, okay. So I got to maybe to check it's on Apple Music.
But I never go on Spotify.
It's arguably a better platform.
I don't think there's any argument.
No, there's not. There's not. No, it's just better. Wow. All right. Well, we found our first Apple Music user. But all right, guys, have a good one. We'll speak to you soon.
See yous.